Alex sat on the couch, trying to process what Emily had just told him, his mind racing. A month-long work vacation abroad sounded intimidating. Emily clarified that she had been given a crucial project by her supervisor that required her close supervision. Alex was both proud and uncomfortable. They hadn't been apart for such a long stretch since getting married 4 years ago. Now, in their late 20s, the couple lived in a cozy rental on the outskirts of Willow Creek, a small but bustling city in Oregon. It wasn't anything extravagant, but it was home. Both Alex and Emily were ambitious, career-driven individuals hustling to save up for a down payment on their first house. Their shared goal had always been to build a solid foundation for their future, and despite their demanding schedules, their bond had felt unbreakable, at least until recently. Over the past few months, Alex had noticed subtle changes in Emily. She had become increasingly focused on her career, often staying late at work or volunteering for additional responsibilities. "What's with the sudden push?" Alex asked one evening, his tone half teasing but tinged with curiosity. Emily smirked, tilting her head. "Oh, I just want to keep up with you, Mr. High Achiever," she teased, her eyes sparkling. He chuckled, brushing it off as light-hearted banter. But now, as he watched her pack with a determined expression, her movements precise and almost clinical, he couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to her drive than she let on. Emily had always been ambitious, but this felt different. She spoke at length about how her recent efforts were finally being noticed, and how much this project meant to her career. She even hinted that success here might lead to bigger opportunities. Alex felt a swell of pride despite his reservations. Her dedication was part of what had always drawn him to her. "So," he joked, "should I start getting used to being a house husband when you make CEO?" Emily rolled her eyes, laughing. "Don't get too comfortable. But by the time I'm back, you'll be bragging to everyone that your wife's the golden girl of Carson Industries." Her humor and confidence were infectious, and Alex found himself smiling as she gave him a warm hug. For a brief moment, he felt reassured that everything would be okay. The morning of Emily's departure was bittersweet for Alex. She double-checked her neatly packed suitcase, ensuring her passport and other essentials were accounted for, before finally zipping it shut. "Spain," Alex said, leaning against the doorway with a small smile. "A month there sounds like a dream." Emily glanced at him, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "It's not going to be as glamorous as it sounds. Lots of meetings, late nights. I probably won't even have time to explore." "Well, if you do get a chance, make sure to take some pictures," Alex said, trying to mask the small pang of jealousy he felt. Visiting Spain had always been one of his dreams, but time and money had never allowed for it. Emily smiled, her expression softening. "I'll bring you back something nice. Maybe a taste of the culture." They shared a lingering kiss at the front door. "Good luck," Alex said, squeezing her hand. "Thanks, love you," she replied, giving him one last look before heading out the door with her bags. The first week without Emily passed in quiet routine. Alex found himself filling the silence of their small home with music and podcasts. But the emptiness was hard to ignore. They exchanged a few texts here and there, with Emily sending brief updates about her workload and how busy she was. It reassured him to hear from her, though he missed her more than he had anticipated. By the weekend, Alex decided to tackle a big grocery run. With Emily gone, he had let the fridge run almost completely empty. On Saturday morning, he headed across town to one of the larger supermarkets. As he wandered through the aisles, carefully checking items off his list, his mind drifted back to their house, the quiet evenings, the bed that felt too big without her. He was so deep in thought that he barely noticed a familiar voice calling his name, Alex. "Hey!" He turned, surprised to see Heather, an old friend from college who had always been full of energy in life. "Heather!" "Wow, it's been ages," Alex said, smiling as he approached her. "How have you been?" "Great," Heather replied, adjusting her shopping basket on her arm. I just got back from Miami. Funny running into you. Are you back already? Alex frowned, confused. Back? From where? Heather tilted her head, looking puzzled. Miami. I ran into Emily there a few days ago. She was with someone. I think a coworker. She said you were down there with some friends to unwind. Alex's smile faltered, though he quickly forced it back. Oh, right. Yeah, I've been swamped with work since we got back. Heather nodded sympathetically. Well, don't overwork yourself. It was nice to see her, and it's great bumping into you too. Take care, Alex. She gave him a quick wave and disappeared down another aisle, leaving Alex frozen in place. Miami. Emily was supposed to be in Spain. His mind raced during the drive home, Heather's words echoing with each turn of the steering wheel. Miami, not Spain, with someone else. He tried to rationalize it. Maybe it was a quick work detour, or Heather was mistaken. But the uneasy knot in his stomach wouldn't loosen. That evening, Alex couldn't shake the nagging feeling that something wasn't right. He stayed up late, scrolling through social media and checking old messages, searching for any clues that might explain what Heather had said. By Monday morning, his nerves were frayed. He needed answers. By Monday, Alex couldn't take it anymore. The nagging suspicion had grown too loud to ignore. After pacing the living room for what felt like hours, he decided to call Emily's office. But he knew he couldn't just call as her husband. He needed to be smart about it. Taking a deep breath, Alex dialed the number and waited as the line connected. Good morning, Carson Industries. How can I help you? A cheerful voice greeted. Alex lowered his voice, trying to sound casual. Hi, I'm an old client of Emily's. We lost touch, and I was hoping to reconnect. Could you transfer me to her? There was a brief pause on the other end. Oh, I'm sorry, but Emily is on personal leave right now. She's scheduled to return in about 3 weeks. Alex's heart skipped a beat. Oh, I didn't realize. Is everything all right? Oh, yes, the receptionist replied brightly. She mentioned her husband hurt his leg, and she's taking some time off to help him recover. Really sweet of her. Can I leave a message? Alex's grip on the phone tightened until his knuckles turned white. No message. Thank you, he managed to say before hanging up abruptly. He slumped into the nearest chair, his mind spinning. 3 weeks of personal leave. Not Spain, not work. She had told her office she was home with him, caring for him because of some non-existent injury. It was a lie. A perfectly crafted, airtight lie. Alex felt a wave of anger rising in his chest. Heather's story about Miami and now this. They couldn't both be coincidences. The more he thought about it, the clearer it became. Emily had created an elaborate cover to hide something she didn't want him to find out. But what? His first instinct was to call her immediately and demand answers, but he stopped himself. Emily was smart, and he knew she would have a response ready, a new story to spin. Without proof, she'd twist the conversation in her favor, leaving him with nothing but more doubt. No, he needed to be strategic. He needed undeniable evidence before confronting her. The next day, Alex left work early, his mind already set on his next step. He searched online for the best-rated divorce attorneys in Willow Creek, finally landing on the website of a firm led by a man named James Carter. Within an hour, Alex was sitting across from him, recounting the strange events of the past week. James listened intently, his sharp eyes focused on Alex as he spoke. Occasionally, he scribbled a note on his legal pad, but didn't interrupt. When Alex finished, James leaned back in his chair, folding his hands. You have a few options here, Alex, he began, his tone measured. If you're certain there's infidelity, you could wait to gather solid evidence. Concrete proof will strengthen your case in court and could influence the division of assets. Alex nodded, though the thought of waiting knotted him. What's the alternative? James gave a slight smile, as if anticipating the question. You act quickly to secure what matters most. From what you've told me, the primary concern is the joint savings account you've been building for a house. If we move those funds into an account solely in your name, we can ensure they're protected. Once that's done, we can file for divorce, leaving her with minimal leverage when she returns. Alex considered this for a moment, the weight of the decision pressing on him. The savings represented years of hard work and sacrifice. "I can't lose that money," he said firmly. "I've worked too hard for it." James nodded. "Then let's make a plan." Over the next several days, Alex followed James's instructions to the letter. He spent hours combing through their finances, carefully transferring funds into a separate account while ensuring the process was discreet. Each move, though nerve-wracking, brought him a sense of control, a feeling he hadn't experienced since Emily's departure. By the end of the week, everything was in place. The savings were secure, and James had drafted divorce papers. Now, all that remained was waiting for Emily's return. But Alex wasn't just sitting idle. He needed answers, and he was determined to find them. The day Emily returned was crisp and sunny, a sharp contrast to the storm brewing in Alex's mind. She stepped out of the cab with a bright smile, her luggage in tow. Her skin had a faint tan, and she looked more relaxed than she had in months. Walking toward the front door of their house in Willow Creek, she rehearsed her lines. Something about how exhausting the work trip had been, how little time she'd had to enjoy Spain. As she approached the door, she noticed something odd. A car she didn't recognize was parked in the driveway. "Maybe Alex has a guest," she muttered, brushing it off. She pulled out her keys and reached for the lock, but before she could open the door, it swung open. Standing in the doorway was a woman in her late 30s with a calm but knowing expression. Beside her stood a teenage boy holding a skateboard. The woman's eyes held a strange mix of warmth and pity. "Hi, you must be Emily," the woman said, her tone friendly but firm. Emily blinked, momentarily thrown off. Yes. Who are you, and what are you doing in my house?" The woman smiled. "Oh, I'm Lisa, and this is my son, Jack. Alex mentioned you'd be stopping by to pick up your things." Emily's stomach sank, and her grip on her suitcase tightened. "Pick up my things," she echoed, her voice shaky. Lisa stepped aside, gesturing to the hallway. "We just moved in a few days ago. It's such a lovely place. Alex made sure everything was ready for us." Emily's suitcase thudded to the ground as her mind raced. "Moved in? What are you talking about?" Lisa tilted her head, her tone softening slightly. "Alex ended the lease last week. He thought it was best to make a clean break." Emily's heart pounded as she fumbled for her phone. She dialed Alex's number, her hands shaking, and waited as it rang. He picked up on the third ring, his voice calm and steady. "Emily," he said simply. "Alex," she burst out. "What is going on? There's a stranger in our house telling me you ended the lease. What is this?" Alex's voice remained even, almost detached. "I thought it was time for a fresh start. Lisa and her son needed a place, and this house no longer felt like home to me." "What?" Emily's voice cracked. "Alex, you can't just—" "I can," he interrupted. "And I did. Your things are in the garage. Oh, and there's a folder on the passenger seat of your car. It has the divorce papers. You might want to look those over." The line clicked before Emily could respond. She redialed, but the call didn't go through. He had blocked her. Her legs felt like they might give out as she turned to Lisa, who watched her with quiet sympathy. "Your things are all packed," Lisa said gently. "I hope you find what you're looking for." Emily stumbled toward the garage, her vision blurred by tears. When she opened the door, she found a few neatly packed boxes. On her car seat was a folder labeled "Divorce Papers" in bold black letters. She grabbed the folder with trembling hands and flipped it open. The legal jargon was a blur, but the message was clear. Alex had moved on, and she had been left behind. Emily sat in her car, staring blankly at the divorce papers. Her hands trembled as she flipped through the pages, tears streaming down her face. Her mind raced, trying to make sense of what had just happened. The man she thought she could manipulate, the man she thought she had under control, had completely outplayed her. She fumbled for her phone, scrolling through her contacts, and called her closest friend, Sarah. Emily. Sarah's voice came through the line, warm and concerned. Sarah, I don't know where to go. Alex, he's done something insane. Emily's voice cracked, the weight of her emotions pressing down on her. Calm down, Sarah said gently. Come over. We'll figure this out. Emily drove to Sarah's apartment, the familiar streets of Willow Creek blurring through her tears. When she arrived, Sarah greeted her with a hug and ushered her inside. Over the next hour, Emily recounted the surreal events, from Lisa's appearance to the discovery of the divorce papers. Do you think he knows about Emily trailed off, her voice barely a whisper? Sarah's eyes narrowed. Miami? Emily nodded, her face pale. Sarah sighed. If he does, you need to prepare yourself. This is going to get messy. Meanwhile, Alex was far from idle. Later that evening, he met up with a few old college friends at a local bar. The group hadn't seen each other in months, and the atmosphere was light, full of laughter and reminiscing. But beneath Alex's calm exterior, his thoughts remained sharp, focused on what he'd uncovered and a plan he had set in motion. One of his friends, Mike, excused himself to use the restroom. As he walked away, Alex noticed something strange. Mike had a deep tan, his skin glowing as if he'd just spent weeks lounging on a beach. Mike's looking unusually tropical. Alex joked to Ryan, another friend at the table. Ryan laughed. Yeah, he's been on some trip recently. Didn't say much about it, though. I think he went to Miami. Alex's head snapped up at the mention of Miami, his mind racing. Miami? He repeated. Yeah, Ryan said casually, taking a sip of his drink. Not sure who he went with, but he's been acting a little weird about it. Alex's jaw tightened. Could Mike have been Emily's companion in Miami? The timing lined up too perfectly. When Mike returned, Alex kept his tone light. So, Miami, you've got to tell me about it. Thinking of taking a trip myself, Mike chuckled nervously, waving it off. Oh, you know, just the usual. Beaches, drinks, nothing special. Come on, Alex pressed, feigning curiosity. Show me some pictures. I need inspiration for my next trip. Mike hesitated, glancing at his phone. I didn't take many pictures. Ryan smirked. Yeah, right. Mike never goes anywhere without posting about it. Under the group's playful pressure, Mike finally unlocked his phone and opened his gallery. Alex leaned over casually, his heart pounding. As Mike scrolled, Alex caught glimpses of the truth he had dreaded but expected. Photos of Emily and Mike together on the beach. Emily laughing, holding a cocktail. The two of them sitting close at a seaside bar, their smiles far too intimate for just friends. Alex's stomach churned, but he kept his face neutral. Mind if I take a look? Alex asked, gesturing toward the phone. Before Mike could react, Alex grabbed it and quickly forwarded several incriminating photos to his own number. Hey, Mike protested, reaching for the phone, but Ryan and the others laughed, assuming it was all in good fun. Alex tossed the phone back, his voice cold. Thanks for the vacation ideas. The table fell silent as the tension in Alex's tone registered. Mike's face turned pale. That night, Alex reviewed the evidence he had gathered. The photos and messages confirmed what he had suspected all along. Emily hadn't just lied to him, she had betrayed him completely. The following week, during their court hearing, Alex presented the photos and messages. The judge's reaction was swift, ruling overwhelmingly in Alex's favor. Emily's betrayal left her with little to no leverage, and the financial assets she had hoped to claim were secured in Alex's name. Epilogue. Emily's life after the divorce was a shadow of what it had been. Her reputation was in shambles, and her social circle had all but disappeared. Her brief fling with Mike fizzled out under the weight of public scrutiny and mutual regret. Alex, however, found himself on a path of renewal. He focused on his career, his friendships, and eventually, on finding happiness again. A year later, Alex stood in the kitchen of his new home, the soft glow of the sunset streaming through the windows. Rachel, his new companion who had restored his life's brightness, stood next to him. Leaving the wounds of the past behind, they laughed together and discussed the future. The betrayal that had once devoured Alex was now only a memory, serving as a reminder of his progress and the potential for greater things in the future.